The number one reason why you're missing out on thousands of dollars every day, the number one reason why you're missing out of thousands of booked calls every day, the number one reason why you're missing out on thousands of sales every day is because you are yet to find offer market fit. And this is where you position your product in a way which makes the market want to buy it. And this is why finding offer market fit is one of the most valuable things you can do when it comes to trying to grow your business, and especially when it comes to try and build an outbound acquisition system for your business. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can find yours. Let's get into it. So firstly, let's just talk a little bit about what offer market fit is. And I'm talking about it in the context of outbound, but you can think about it just in the context of marketing or advertising as a whole. You have a service, and I'm going to typically talk about service because typically people are selling services in outbound, but let's say you can always say product or service. You have a service that solves a range of problems. You maybe have like a tool, or you're selling time, or you're selling a product, and that can typically be used in a range of different ways. It's not like there's only one way to use any of these things. Offer market fit is finding how to express that in a way that resonates with a particular market. Here are some examples, and this is what essentially our old service used to be. We do restaurant marketing, and to find offer market fit, we tweaked it to get to the point where we're saying we generate weekday corporate event bookings for restaurants. This did not have offer market fit. It did not resonate with enough people, and so it was hard to sell. This resonated with the market and was extremely easy to sell, generating weekday corporate event bookings for restaurants. We do e-com email marketing. We recover abandoned carts, fully pay on results. This one doesn't have offer market fit. This one does have offer market fit. We do LinkedIn outreach. We connect moving companies with real estate agents for recurring business. You can see how LinkedIn outreach and this are actually the same. We're just talking about how we express it in a way that's appealing to the market. That expression of what you do is the finding of offer market fit. We do accounting for startups and founders. We stop founders being surprised by their bank balance. So how do you position your product and service in a way that resonates with the market? There is so many different ways to position your product or service, and you typically are not your market. So you need to find out the best way to position it for your market. When I say you typically are not your market, lots of people watching this video might be a marketing agency that's trying to do outbound for marketing agencies. And the reason why they do that is because they are in their market, and that's easier to sell because it's easier to find offer market fit because you can just ask yourself. And that's why people do it. But fundamentally, this is why people don't buy your stuff. They don't buy your stuff because the way that you have expressed it is just not appealing to them. And you know that because there are other people selling similar stuff to you that are successful pretty much always, but you're not successful selling it. And it's because people fundamentally believe it's different stuff to what somebody else is selling because they're expressing it in a different way. Fundamentally, this is why people don't want to buy your stuff. It's not because of your lead gen. It's not because of your sales. It's because you have not positioned your product in an appealing way. Because if you did, then you would just tell enough people and they would buy. And this is the hard truth, which is that you should be able to cold email your market and say, this is what we do, and they buy. If you can't do that, it's because they don't want to buy what you're saying. You haven't sold. The way you've positioned your thing is not appealing. When we found this, we generate weekday corporate event bookings for restaurants. It was pay on results. All we needed to say in the email is like, hey John, we generate weekday corporate event bookings for restaurants and it's fully pay on results. That's all we need to say in the email. And you could say the same thing in an ad. You could say the same thing in flyers. I could walk into restaurants and say the same thing. The expression was appealing. How I express what we do was appealing. And that is what offer market fit is. That is fundamentally why people don't want to buy your stuff, because when you say what you do, they're not interested. When we see clear offer market fit, we want to do rev share with the company because we know that we can make some serious money. And what I mean by that is when the only thing missing between them, a company making more money, is literally just more people knowing about what they sell, it's so easy to grow, especially through like cold email. You can just be like, oh, we'll email 100,000 people a month and you'll grow the business very, very quickly. Finding offer market fit is extremely valuable. So let's talk about how to find offer market fit. Offer market fit is a spectrum. You start with a stab in the dark and then you learn and tweak. You can think of it as a game of battleships. Maybe I'm showing my age here, but battleships essentially is a game where you can't see where they've placed their ships, and you've got your ships and you guess a square on their side and it's either hit or miss. If you hit, then you know that one of the squares around them, the ship is going to be lined up. And what this means is that let's say you make an offer, and I'm just going to keep talking about this one. We do restaurant marketing. Let's say you have a guess and you talk about we help restaurants grow during the week. We get more weekday customers for restaurants. It works a little bit better. So what you've found is that weekday marketing is more appealing than just general marketing. And there's some logic behind it, right? You're like, oh, well, typically restaurants are pretty fully booked on the weekends, and during the work week they still have to pay rent, so they've still got expenses, they've still got staff on, so they're actually less profitable. So if we just focused our marketing on weekday trade, it would be more valuable. So you've taken a learning, and then you can test a little bit further, and you can say, hey, we help with generating events on weekdays. It's a little bit closer still. And then you do some more testing, and then you find corporate events on weekdays is actually the most appealing. So what you're doing is you are having a stab. That is by talking to the market. You have to talk to people that you're trying to sell to and find out what their pains are, and you are aligning what you do as a way to solve their pain. That is what finding offer market fit is. Or fortunately, it's what people are unwilling to do. People email me all the time saying like, hey, will this work? I don't know if it'll work. You have to go and ask the market. You have to talk to the market. You have to walk in, you have to call them, you have to message them on LinkedIn. You have to offer Amazon gift cards for their time. You have to figure out how to position what you do in a way that's appealing for them. Ideally, you have some level of offer market fit, so you're getting some sales calls, and on those sales calls you treat them as market research. And that is the painful part that people don't want to do, is treat all their sales calls as market research for the first 200 sales calls, because that's really what's required to figure out what the market actually wants to buy. So you need to talk to the market, and you need to talk to lots of people in the market. I'll talk a little bit about this restaurant offer. So we did restaurant marketing. We probably worked with 500 to 600 restaurants before we found offer market fit. We weren't actively searching for it, so you can probably do it quicker, but we had lots of people asking us, hey, do you guys, do more events? So like we want to host weddings, and then some venues aren't really suitable for weddings, and they would want to do like corporate lunches. And then we learnt that events where you sell alcohol are far more profitable for venues. And then we actually learned that because events that sell alcohol are far more profitable for venues, that like breweries and wineries are actually more profitable to do marketing for, because there's a fatter profit margin per group. If you can get large groups for breweries and wineries, that's even more profitable. If you can get corporate events and they come in during the weekday, that's even more profitable, because it's not taking away any slots that are typically sold up for like weddings and weekend friend style, family style events. It took us years to figure that out. And when we figured it out and we did cold email, we had a 6% book call rate. So for every 100 people we emailed, we got 6 calls booked. So we emailed like 100 people a day, had a full sales calendar. That was a few years ago, so cold email is slightly different. But the fundamental premise of talking to the market and figuring out what they want, and doing a lot of talking to the market and asking good questions and figuring out how to position what you do as a way to solve their problem, is what needs to be done here. We did restaurant marketing with meta ads at the beginning, we did restaurant marketing with meta ads at the end, but one was far more appealing than the other. You need to talk to lots of people and ask them about their problems, you need to learn their problems, and you need to position your product or service as the solution to their problems and see if it resonates. And you need to do this over and over again. The bare minimum is 50 recorded calls, and you want to listen to these calls again ideally. If you can't get 50 sales calls, then you're going to need to somehow incentivize your market to talk to you. You can reach out to them directly and offer a $30 Amazon gift voucher for 15 minutes of their time. You need to figure out how to position what you do in a way that is appealing to the market. Once you know how to position your product, you need to then make sure your product actually delivers on the promise. From here, you need to start gathering social proof, interview people who you've had a transformation, and talk to them about their pains and how your product was the solution. So once you start to find offer market fit, you will probably realize that positioning your product in an appealing way means that you need to change your product slightly such that you can consistently fulfill and deliver on that promise that you're making. If we are generating weekday corporate event bookings for restaurants, we need to solve how we do restaurant marketing to get that outcome. Right? It's not like it's super easy, but it's a lot easier when you've got lots of people who are very willing to pay you for solving that problem. So you're then going to solve that fulfillment piece. I say solve that fulfillment piece like it's an easy thing. I understand it's not a super easy thing, but again, if you don't have offer market fit, you're dead in the water anyway. So you need to find offer market fit, then figure out how you can deliver on it, and then you need to get social proof for people that you were able to deliver on it for. Those are in the forms of video testimonials. If you have a look at our site, I recommend doing the same thing. We literally just jump on calls with customers, essentially ask how it was working with you. This is how you find offer market fit. And this is also why typical lead gen fails. If you're watching this video and you've tried another company to do lead gen for you and it's failed, this is probably why. They probably have reached out to a market with an offer, but the market doesn't fundamentally care about that offer. That's typically why it has failed. To get another company to find offer market fit for you costs like $50,000 plus, because you have to talk to like 50 people plus at least, and you have to be willing to change what you're offering, how you're positioning it. And a company that doesn't have offer market fit does not have $50,000 to spend finding offer market fit. That's the fundamental paradigm about why lots of poorer companies really struggle with lead gen is because people fundamentally don't want to buy what they have to sell, and they can't afford the market research for another company to find out what people want to buy. You have to do it yourself. So what this results in is a cheaper alternative, which we do as well, which is essentially you run a whole lot of split tests to see if your market is willing to bite on any of them. But that's not anywhere near as effective as talking to a whole lot of people. You typically would just run a whole lot of split tests to see if you can get sales calls, and then on those sales calls, you're going to try and find offer market fit. So as a recap, you need to talk to lots of people to figure out how your product or service actually fixes their pain. And through this, you'll find out how to package what you do in a way that resonates with the market. If you feel like you do have offer market fit already and you want to scale it, you want to reach everyone in your market, you can book in a call with somebody in my team below and we can help build out your system together. If you want to learn more about how to build out the system for yourself, there should be a much longer video on screen now. I'll see you there.